Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV, where we are here once more in Aporia, I think, yeah. Where we want to continue the raid quest line with Professor Claudian here. And Themis, probably. Desiree, I've made a breakthrough. After uncountable days and nights, I finally hearkened to the crystal's whispers, and I must say... Professor Claudian, where are your manners? While I understand all too well your enthusiasm, I must remind you that even the most academically inclined prefer a composed recounting of events. Yes, of course. My apologies, Desiree. Being consumed by my research for so long, I'm afraid I've quite forgotten how to engage in civilized conversation. In that case, perhaps we could start from the beginning. With a crystal set adrift upon the ethereal tides, containing the memories of the party yet unknown, they cried out for deliverance from Pandemonium, where the ancients kept volatile creations under lock and key. You yourself witnessed the power devouring the facility from within, and the advent of a divine monstrosity wrought of mythic beast and powerful mage. Fortunately, your martial prowess and the combined magical talents of your companions, Themis and Erichtonios, was sufficient to restore order to the circles of Asphodelos, but the greater threat remains. In the depths of Pandemonium, a presence yet stirs, its intentions and identity shrouded in mystery. But is the issue at hand, is it not? Pretty much. Since you returned to us, we have worked tirelessly to discern the nature of the crystal. In the process, I detected an anomalous etheric signature, which I believe arose from the memories stored within. Analysis of its pattern suggested a feeling of loss or yearning, specifically the yearning to be made whole. And indeed, ambient readings have revealed a faint but identical signature. This can only mean that another such crystal exists in our time. So my friend, I must depart to search for it forthwith. By tracing the matching etheric signatures to its source, I believe it will be a simple matter to find our crystal's twin. Professor, will this expedition be carried out only by us, or will Desiree grace us with her protection? I'm afraid she has more pressing matters to attend to, my dear Resono. Namely to seek out the secrets which lie nestled within Pandemonium, where this all began. From all that we have heard, it appears that time traversal from the Crystal Tower is not fluid. That's to say, one can but travel to predetermined intervals. It would be prudent to check in on occasion in case there are any unanticipated changes. As for you, my loyal assistants, I would ask you to remain here and continue cataloging the ancient creations. Do you intend to search for a crystal on your own? Well, yes, that would be the most efficient use of resources, would it not? In fact, I have already commissioned a ship pilot for that very purpose. I trust you to take good care of the laboratory in my absence. I apologize for that somewhat abrupt departure. When progress is in sight, Professor Claudian tends to become blind to all else. Indeed, he has been worse than usual. While I cannot fault him for his excitement, I do wish he would spare a thought for those around him. For reasons unknown, the crystal seems loath to be overheard. Much as it spoke only to you last time, none but the Professor have been able to capture its ethereal yearning, which has served only to convince him that he can solve this puzzle on his own. Surely after some time alone, he'll come to remember how valuable we are? The search of this crystal seems to be a simple enough matter. Let him have his adventure, and upon his return I'm certain he'll be back to his usual self. As for you, Desiree, it may be best to return to Pandemonium, as Professor Claudian suggested. Speaking of which, I did have a request of my own to make. Traveling to Pandemonium requires you to pass through Abyssos, correct? That's something I would have you investigate in my stead. While those creations confined within Pandemonium are considered to be failures, I doubt that's the whole story. Barring exceptional cases, they must have been under observation in Abyssos before being consigned to their shackles. And if we know anything about the ancients, it's that they would have kept thorough records of the results. Ah, brilliant! Delving into these records may shed light on creatures Desiree has yet to encounter, if your theory proves correct, it is. But there's no guarantee, it certainly beats the current strategy of rushing forward blindly with only our strength to carry the day. For your own sake, as well as ours, please unearth what information you can. Okay. Abyss. Ah, Thames is here as well. I did not expect to meet you here of all places. You seek records of Pandemonium's creations. Master Thames has just finished perusing the very same. I should not be surprised if we both arrived at the same conclusion. Luckily, I have saved you the trouble and gleaned what information I could. Ah, so you know each other. I was dreading having to once again scour the archives, but perhaps instead I'll rest for a spell. If there's nothing else, I shall take my leave. As should we, for I have undone the warding sigil blocking the entrance to Abyssos. I came here merely to chase an idle suspicion while awaiting your return. Fortunately, while Pandemonium's protective wards continue to be assailed by our unknown foe, there have been no fluctuations so great as to make me doubt Erichtonios' capacity to keep watch over Asphodelos while I am away. He works diligently to master internment, that he might deliver the creations back to their cages by his own hand. I thought it best to give him time to own his craft. And since fate has brought us both here, I would ask you to accompany me while I attend to another matter. More idle suspicions that I would like to chase down. Rest assured, it will not take long. I simply have a few questions to ask an acquaintance of mine. Come, he has agreed to meet us near the Naos to Pandemonium. As I have pondered our expedition to Pandemonium, I could not help but be mystified by how strongly the warders we encountered felt for La Brea, whether it be for good or ill. Hesperus and Erichtonios were two sides of the same coin. The former looked to his mentor with absolute devotion, while the latter looks to his father with bald hatred. I would not expect a familiar such as you to understand this, but such extreme emotions towards a single individual are quite rare indeed. Naturally, I feel gratitude toward my mother and father, yet we all are equal in the larger picture of a star. This view is not uniquely to myself, it's more or less accepted as a way of things. By contrast, the researchers of Pandemonium seem to view La Brea with a feeling approaching obsession. Whether driven by love or hate, they have all been drawn to him. There are many other aspects of the facility's particulars that I found troubling besides. I decided the best course of action would be to go straight to the source and pose my questions to a member of the Wards of La Brea. My apologies for having kept you waiting, Master Themis. I understand you are conducting an investigation of Pandemonium and wish to know of its origins. Indeed. In particular, I wish to know why exactly Pandemonium was built directly under Abyssos. The facility is overseen by the Wards of La Brea, after all. Why keep it so close to Abyssos, whose governing body has no say in its day-to-day operations? At first I thought it to be simply a matter of convenience. Those creations which were deemed failures by the researchers of Abyssos could be easily ushered into their new homes. Imagine my surprise when a trip to the archives revealed that many of the creations were sent from organizations beyond Elpis, including from the words of La Brea themselves. Given this, albeit limited information, I cannot but feel that the Academia and Nida would have been a more fitting locale. What does Elpis have that cannot be found there? These are fitting questions, and one we have asked ourselves many times in recent years. Alas, the nature of Pandemonium's construction does not lend itself to relocation. When first it was built, circumstances weren't as they are now. As we surmise, the majority of the creations kept within Pandemonium were sent from Elpis. Yet as the years passed, interests changed. Failures in creations deemed too flawed even to submit to Elpis paradoxically drew the attention of Pandemonium's researchers. This is quite the change, and in fact it almost runs counter to the facility's original purpose. Who is it that decides which creations will be the subject of research? Master La Brea. Such authority is reserved for the chief keyword, and he has taken it upon himself to step into that role. So if Pandemonium's resources were being misused, it would be under La Brea's authority, correct? I know not what you're suggesting, but the keywords also hold some sway within the facility. Not even Master La Brea would be free from their scrutiny. They are duty-bound to report any irregularities as soon as possible. Although I admit as of late their communication has been somewhat sporadic, we but recently received a report from one of the keywords stating that all is well within Pandemonium's halls. Really? Are you certain that the keyword sent it? Yes, of course. Our communication suffered a temporary obstruction, but I can assure you that the words did their due diligence in confirming the identity of the sender. Thank you. This information will be helpful to my investigation. That will be all for my prying. Then I should take my leave. While you are yet permitted to conduct your investigation freely, I must remind you that the warder's work is delicate, and would be remiss to disturb them for longer than necessary. All is well. A blatant lie, and to that we can both attest. One of the remaining keywords is most certainly in league with the party behind this. Let's hurry. I know not why our adversary sent the report, but it's plain we must return to Pandemonium with haste. I cannot guess as to why this false report has arisen now, but it certainly bodes ill. As does the knowledge that our mysterious mastermind has at least one more keyword to puppet. Regardless, they have tipped their hand, and we would be remiss to leave Erichtonios at the mercy of their machinations. Let us hope no harm has befallen him. Not quite. I've traced these sigils countless times, yet still I lack the strength to maintain the spell. And now time works against me. I can no longer be victim of my own ineptitude. What? Who goes there? There's something to be admired in such single-minded effort. Even their methods leave much to be desired. You allowed this familiar to catch you unawares. Have you set your sights so high as to forget you walk upon the earth? I know this creature, a familiar of a phoenix, but that monster's locked away. That it is. In spite of the trouble I went to in freeing it, I might add. Begrudge me for addressing you in this ill-fitting form if you must. But with control of Osrodelos wrestled from my grasp, 'tis simply the best I can offer you. Hide if you will, but mark my words, I will find you and make you pay for the chaos you've sown. Now, there's no need for such hostility. A calm heart stays the course. The wisdom of Lahabware, your father. And how would you know what wisdom he speaks? I have heard those words many times. The scolding of a tutor whose student struggles to grasp the most rudimentary lessons, seething with disgust. No. I have not told that to anyone, not even keyword Hesperos. It can only mean one thing. But still you insist on mocking me. Stop this farce, Lahabware! At last you move to keep up. Pity that you remain behind, nevertheless. What? As ever you are, always you fail to learn, fail to understand, fail to act. And though fate deigned to offer an escape, you remain here. You're bereft of magical prowess and common sense both. But you need not despair. Dull though you may be, you are yet indispensable to Pandemonium's great experiment. There's the affection I remember. Tell me, did I ever once measure up to your expectations? You shall. Take pride in that, and rejoice to see your wish fulfilled. What wish? Come, and all shall be revealed. All this rage, this hatred is but a consequence of ignorance. Our desires align more than you know. What are you... Uninvited guests join our reunion. It seems fortune no longer favors you. Do you think I have any interest in listening to you prattle, let alone bowing to your will? I'm no longer a child, and my faith lies with those who have earned it. So these are the heroes who brought Hesperos low, even as power divine flowed through his veins. 'Tis plain they are worthier subjects to contend with. Just what was the familiar after? Thank you. If you had shown up even a moment later, I shudder to think what would have become of me. There's something I must tell you. I know who's behind this. There's but one person who can hold thrall over familiar, creation, and keyword alike. A Erichtonios seems to have quite the story to tell. Perhaps we should lend an ear? And so there can be but one conclusion. La Brea was the driving force behind this chaos from the start. There is a logic to that. There are few with a wherewithal to even consider experimentation on such a scale, let alone the capacity to create demigods from man and beast with the rest of us none the wiser. Considering the magnitude of his work with a convocation in the words, his relatively minor role as a chief keyword comes under little scrutiny, even as it provides him the authority to wield dangerous magics. It may serve as a veil and mantle both. Still, I find the notion hard to accept. The misdeeds perpetrated here could not have been done by the La Brea I know. You have met him, yes? Do you think he's capable of this? Too early to say for certain, because the La Brea we know certainly would, but that was millennia in the future. It truly is a puzzle with many missing pieces. Still, I see you do not deny outright the possibility that La Brea is a man with few scruples. That alone should be enough. But let me assure you, La Brea holds nothing so dear as his own ambition. While he may not be one to let emotion stand in the way of his mission, I cannot believe there is no depth to which he would not stoop. Although we met but briefly, the impression he left on me stands in stark contrast to your evaluation. Though his methods are ever unorthodox, they seem guided by a firm understanding of what is just. There's one way to find out for certain. We delve deeper into Pandemonium and pull back the curtains on this mystery ourselves. A wise course. I would not deny the truth if I saw it with my own eyes, even if it was discomforting to behold. I must move forward with no excess of caution. La Brea, or whomever is behind this, has likely spread the tentacles into every corner of Pandemonium. We can safely assume the other keywords won't greet us with open arms. Agreed. Let's make our way through Abyssos, one careful step at a time. I shall stay by Erichtonios' side, in case our enemies think to target him again. Would I trouble you to take Vanguard? Thank you. As a precaution, I shall safeguard you with a simple spell. This will ensure that even should we become separated, my phantom warriors will still come to your aid. If it does come to battle, the keyword's magics will put us at a disadvantage once again. Luckily, we have you to even the scale somewhat. I trust you shall be liberal with your weight? Abyssos, the fifth circle now accessible. Judging from the demeanor of that familiar, there's little doubt that our enemy has a tight grip on Pandemonium and its denizens. We will be vulnerable. Just what is La Brea planning? And what role do I play in his schemes? Whoop! And we're gone. Mythic creation, Proto-Carbuncle. Behind him. Stay on this side. Where is no topaz? Here. Same way again behind him, unless there's a barrier. Phase change. Green puddle spread. That one was especially dangerous because that is an instant kill. The jumping. Oh. Pay attention. So this is where research is conducted on creations and beauty of poisons and venoms. Erichtonios and I were conveyed not far from here. It seems our foe is finding it more difficult to suppress us. Fortunately for you, since they appear particularly keen to see you dispatched as quickly as possible. Even alone, you are a force to be reckoned with. Part of me is glad you emerged victorious, but I might observe you further. If the circumstances different, I might thank you for keeping my son alive for this long, but I believe we can forego introductions. Unless I've misread you. La Habrea. Passable perceptive. Yes, I'm La Brea of a convocation of 14. If you truly are who you claim to be, then answer this question. That can wait. What is this? Now this is curious. The trap I wove at your feet reacts to aether, but you remain unaffected. Such thin aether and an unfamiliar composition besides. It's of no matter, I suppose. A more direct approach will get the same results. I would advise you to think carefully before deciding your next action. Strike me down here, and Erichtonios' wish shall remain unfulfilled. Never again shall he meet Athena. Mother, you dare hide behind her name? Listen well, Erichtonios. We are of the same mind concerning your mother. You have your allies for protection. So what harm is there in hearing me out? Erichtonios, wait. There's a question I must needs ask first. If you truly are La Brea, why speak such blatant lies? Bitter in defeat, are we? Say my name. A simple request. Themis, was it? A trifle soon forgotten, as are you. I have my answer. The La Brea I knew took pride in the convocation, and would never suffer its denigration. You sully his station with this farce. Themis, what are you saying? La Brea and I hardly saw eye to eye, but I know his voice when I hear it. Indeed, he makes a passing fine imitation in appearance and manners. However, the real La Brea would never call me by the name Themis. What troubles have you gotten yourself into, Abyssos? Imposter, you have no right to claim that form, that mask. What? Who? It was a mask that sickened me to wear. The mask of La Brea, a man who values his position above all, would murder his own wife in pursuit of duty. Yet you would assume my name and wield powers that are mine by right. Any worth you may have hinges on that which you so despise. Such trifle provocations. I will not be goaded into finishing this ere my work is done. Erichtonios, listen well. I'm Abyssos. And it is I who you should call father. What in the name of creation? We would do well not to stand idle while our enemy's about. I believe an explanation is in order, Abyssos. Let us return to safety, so you may provide it. That sounds more like the Labrea I know. Before we depart, however, I must offer you an apology. As Labrea said, I am Elidibus, one of a convocation and emissary of their will. For reasons which do not involve you, it was necessary to hide my identity while investigating this place. Still, that hardly excuses my deception. I had a feeling. Your perceptiveness does not surprise me. When the time comes, it shall make my explanation all the easier to understand. In any case, we have pressing matters to attend to. Let us do as La Habrea suggested and return to the gates. We can speak there. Please, help him. Save him. I see Elidibus has chosen to keep out company. Such a vexing composition of air you possess. Still don't understand. As you are aware by now, I'm known as Elidibus. After my dear friend Azam and I detected irregularities in Pandemonium, we decided the best course of action would be to hide my station as I conducted my investigation. I'm sure La Brea as well is eager to find out why I hid who I was, so I shall save that story for later. First, I would like to speak with you, my friend. Although neither Azam nor I had ever met you in the flesh, you came with her highest recommendation. That alone was enough for me to accept you as an ally without question. That somewhere in the world a guiding star so similar to herself was out there amused Azam to no end. There was not a shade of doubt in her heart that you would be a formidable ally. Furthermore, I have heard stories of that Mistress Renar, who held the position of Azam previously, journeyed with a familiar such like yourself. That made the decision to trust you all the easier. She too now dons the white robes of an advisor. If she places her absolute faith in you, I knew I would be in capable hands. Aware where I was of the path you had walked, I had no interest in exposing you. I merely wanted to meet you, to travel by your side for a while. I may know about a small portion of your whole story, but that is enough for me to believe you would never lead me astray. I wanted to tell you that. Okay, but I make a cut here and we continue this next time. And then I'm Mace and don't get lost.